Here we need to use one special feature. We call it DHCP relay agent. Let me write here DHCP relay agent. The router, okay, should give help to the for example PCs in other network to taking IP address. Here in the router 1, in the interface of the router 1 that it can receive the DHCP server, we are configuring one command. The command is IP helper address, okay, IP helper address, then the IP address of the DHCP 192.168.1.5. Actually, we are saying to the router 1 that the IP address of the DHCP is 192.168.1.5. Because of that, when the R1 is receiving the broadcast DHCP discovery, okay, it should create one new DHCP discovery, okay, this is the new DHCP discovery with this unicast destination IP, not broadcast. Look at here, discovery, okay, this is the DHCP discovery that's created by the router 1. The destination IP is 192.168.1.5 because we have configured this on this interface on ETH00, and the source IP is the IP address of the ETH00 192.168 for example 1.1. okay, here you know that for this computer, for this for example, if the IP of DHCP is 192.168.1.5, here we have another range, for example 2.1, because you know that router is working between two range of network. Because of that, we can for example say here we are using 192.168.20/24, okay, and the IP address of the router is 2.1. And on the right side, we are using 192.168.10 for example 24, and the IP address of the gateway is 0.1, and the IP address of the DHCP server is 192.168 for example 1.5. okay, because of that, now the router should create this DHCP discovery to the destination of the DHCP server. After that, DHCP server, again with the similar process, should answer from its IP address to the for example IP address of the router 192.168.2.1 with the DHCP offer message, okay, this is unicast, okay, and after that again the router should create one broadcast message, okay, and this is the DHCP offer with the same information that router received from the DHCP offer message of the DHCP server. This is the process of the DHCP relay agent. Again, you know that we should send DHCP request from the PC1. PC1 doesn't know anything about the relay agent, and here again the router 1 should create a DHCP request from its IP address to the IP address of the DHCP server. Finally, DHCP server should give the DHCP acknowledgement, okay, to the router 1, and then the router 1 again should send one DHCP acknowledgement in broadcast with broadcast to the for example PC1 or to the to in this network DHCP. All of these messages are broadcast such as the normal DHCP operation, but actually here the router now is helping to PCs to taking IP address from the DHCP server. Don't forget, we need to configure IP helper address, then the IP address of the DHCP on the interface of the router that is residing in this LAN, okay? If you configure the IP address, for example, with incorrect IP address, the systems cannot receive IP from the DHCP server. The command is router config if IP DHCP or IP helper address, then the DHCP server IP address. Okay, this is the method, we call it DHCP relay agent. Okay, don't forget, I will show you, but don't forget that when you are configuring IP helper address, okay, beside of the DHCP, a few other broadcast types in addition to DHCP message are advertising to the IP that you are configuring. Okay, let me to talk about this few broadcast message. It's not important so as for this topic, but it's interesting to know that when you are configuring IP helper, actually all of the TFTP message, and after that all of the DNS message, Okay, let me to write here DNS, and after that ITS message. ITS is the abbreviation of the Internet Time Services. Let me to write here Internet, then Time Service. Okay, and also after that the NetBIOS name server, NetBIOS name server. Okay, and after that the bootp, and then the, for example, TACACS, and also the, for example, NetBIOS datagram server, NetBIOS datagram server. All of the message of these protocols also are, for example, forwarding to the IP address that you configured, IP helper address. TFTP is the abbreviation of the Trivial File Transfer Protocol. DNS is the abbreviation of the Domain Name System or Domain Name Service. ITS is the abbreviation of the Internet Time Service, and then NetBIOS name server, and then bootp and TACACS, and finally NetBIOS datagram server. These messages are also advertising to this IP, but you know that in most cases we don't have this message in our network. Because of that, the main function of the IP helper address or DHCP relay agent is for DHCP. Because of that, the name of this feature is DHCP relay agent, not TFTP relay agent, not, for example, bootp or TACACS plus or NetBIOS datagram server relay agent. Okay, because of that, in most cases this command only is using for the DHCP relay agent. Let me to show you this scenario, and now we can experience this function in our scenario. Look at here we have one scenario, R1 connected to this switch and then to PC1, then R1 connected to the next switch and also the DHCP server. And until now I didn't configure for example, IP helper address on the interface of router 1. Let me to show you the configuration of the router 1. Okay, here in the router 1, do show run. First, let me to correct the duplex interface range ETH00 and then 1. The duplex is full. Look at here, show run interface, for example, ETH00 can show us that we have only one IP address on this interface and also on the ETH01. Okay, because of that, when PC1 is trying to receiving the IP address from the DHCP, because the DHCP discovery cannot send to the DHCP server, we cannot find the DHCP server, and finally we cannot take IP address from the DHCP server. Let me to show you. Assume that here I'm going to capture both ETH00 and ETH01 here, capture of the ETH00, because I'm going to compare these two capture with each other. This is the capture of the ETH00. And after that, this is the capture of the ETH01. Okay. After that, I'm trying to receiving IP address from the computer. Here, if you want, you can see only DHCP message, and also here only DHCP message. Okay. And this is the, for example, PC1. This is the PC1. I'm going to, for example, use the ipconfig/release and then renew. In the command prompt, ipconfig, then /release, and also, for example, renew. Now we don't have IP address, then renew. Look at here. When you are using the renew command, here, as you can see, we are sending DHCP discovery. But because the DHCP discovery cannot receive by the DHCP server, finally we will not have IP address. Now I'm going to configure the IP helper address on the, for example, router 1 ETH00. Let me to configure it on the ETH00 of the router 1, conft interface ETH00. Okay, the IP address of the DHCP server is 192.168.1.5. Let me to check the connectivity between the router and the DHCP server. Ping 192.168.1.5. We have connectivity. And after that, let me to configure on the interface ETH00 the IP helper address, command IP helper address, then the IP address of the DHCP 192.168.1.5. That's it. After some second, okay, now when we have DHCP discovery, as you can see, the DHCP discovery forwarded with unicast to the DHCP server from 192.168.2.1 to the 1.5. Again, when the DHCP server sent its DHCP offer with the source of 192.168.2.1